regular meeting of December 7th, 2021, and the open session minutes of the special meeting of December 10th, 2021.
Make a motion to approve as printed.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve is printed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Review, discuss, consider request for approval process to allow a sign-on bonus.
Longer walk here.
Okay, review, discuss, consider request for approval process to allow a sign-on bonus for positions that have been difficult to fill.
All right, so at the last meeting, you had asked that this be added to the agenda for discussion, and so it is before you now for discussion.
And the reason I do that is a position for maintenance mechanic in facilities. I think we should extend this bonus to all other departments that get it.
So you're asking for just the facilities maintenance technician 2 to
That's,
be able to get the $6,000 sign-on bonus?
And I think that's the only, is that the only one that's open there, Russ?
We have a custodian position open and a maintenance position open for
Just to extend it, I mean, seeing we're doing it for the sheriff's, Clearview, the other ones.
Do you want it to be open a certain period of time, or to come back here, at least to,
We have this policy kind of on the agenda for a 6-month period, so it's been approved for a 6-month period.
for just the sheriff, or?
For the sheriff and for Clearview.
Yeah, but I meant are you saying that you want it open, or do you want it to come back here position? Make it available to everyone, but have us say that, yes,
For right now,
custodian.
facilities is the only one that's having difficulty hiring.
That's all I mean.
Jim?
Just a comment, is there some, for looking at other positions, is there some criteria that the committee is looking for? I mean, it's pretty vague to indicate, in my opinion, difficult positions. Shouldn't there be some criteria? And also that the hiring bonus, I understand, and what's happening here, but the results have been extremely mixed regarding the impact of having a hiring bonus. And I'm not against it, but my personal opinion is right now it's pretty vague, and I think for clarity for other departments, there should be a little further refinement of what type of criteria are you looking for? Is it length of time a position's been open? I mean, what's the measurement here? I think absent a measurement, I think administratively, it's not clear how to proceed.
And I understand where you're coming from, but so far we've only have 2, and we never put the criteria down for what the sheriff's department and stuff would be. I mean, that was kind of whatever it takes for the time period to 6 months, correct? If we're having that much trouble hiring, maybe that's where we have to go across the board.
But is it, and this isn't on the agenda, but it's just, is it so much the hiring bonus, or is it the compensation schedule as a whole? And there hasn't been any discussion about that.
I agree, Jim, that I believe we're gonna have to have discussion on the compensation package as a whole. I agree with that. And as far as sign-on bonuses, I can see where there are problems with our existing employees, or saying, hey, I ain't get us. Yeah, these guys getting $6,000. I can see the animosity within our employees that we have now towards this. However, the only reason that I would be interested in it is that the fact that in jail, that those folks are needed so badly that we already had to shut one pod down because we didn't have enough people there. And as far as Clearview, I've asked Ed numerous times if we're close to an area where we're gonna have to shut something down because we don't have the employees. And every time we have our meetings, there's somebody else resigning or leaving Clearview, so I think that area is coming close as well. And I think that we need to have to try and do something to hire people and retain them. And what we have now is just not, in this economy that we have right now, it's just not working.
Well, part of our competition is, if I may, it speaks, I mean, you brought up good points, Richard, but our competition for some of these positions, just from a per hour basis, we're not at the same level. And some of our neighbors are paying much more per hour for the same position, in addition to offering some type of quarterly bonus on top of the extra hours. The sign-on bonus, I understand the importance of it, but to date, it's, as I said, it's been real mixed. But our competition, we're not being competitive in certain positions, and that's why we're losing people. And I believe that's why our recruitment has had challenges, because our flat-out compensation isn't matching our competition. And I'm talking public sector competition. We're not matching that, and that's just a documented fact. It's not my opinion, it's a fact. When you look at these positions, the county's compensation, from what Fond du Lac County's doing, Washington County, $6 an hour premium for CNAs. We're not offering that. We haven't yet. But everything we're trying to do, there's resistance.
Well, one thing I saw this morning coming over here talking about Clearview anyway is that it's all over, and they had their front headline is talking about what do we do in the future with these kind of places that Clearview or even beyond. They're saying you can't discharge them from Clearview because you can't do that as a county. Understand that, right, Ed? And you can't can't find a place to put them. So even if we wanted to shut down a pod, we'd be or not a pod, but a place over at Clearview, we're a tough binds no matter what we want to do. The thing is it's all over, and they were trying to put something together, but I didn't come up with a conclusion on what we got to do. Everybody's hiring different prices.
Well, as far as you're saying about shutting something down, you just won't take new clients. And through attrition, you will be able to do that if that. I don't want that to happen. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying that if we don't do something that is definitely a fact that something's going to happen down the line. And I think our wage structure that we have is something that we have to look at. My daughter is works in a hospital, and now they've changed that they're getting double time for any overtime or extra shifts that they pick up. I mean,
Well, the whole thing about, Richie, the whole thing about, with Clearview and those kinds of facilities is that right now, what did I see over the weekend, 96% of our hospital rooms that are needed for COVID are full. And they've got at least every one of them a good percentage of patients that don't belong in the hospital. They belong more at something like a Clearview, but there is no place to put them. And so that's filling the hospitals up, it makes us look a few patients short. And I don't know what the answer is there, Richie, but it's a lot deeper than just saying, well, we should raise up our monies. I don't think that's the answer.
Let's get back on track here first. This is about the
Yeah.
approval process to allow a sign-on bonus for positions that have been difficult to fill.
So,
Here.
I was just going to add that I think we should maybe make the policy available to any department that feels it would benefit them, and they should ask us, the committee, to say, I think this would help me in this position. If Russ feels that that would be a help to him in his quest to get a certain, not the custodian maybe, but the other one that you had, if he feels that would help him hire someone, then I think he should ask us, and we should say it's available. I don't like the idea of a wide open at this point in time, because we have other issues that Jim has spoken of and the rest of the committee. But if he thinks it would help in this case,
So are you asking to review the policy that we have for the corrections and
no, it can stay there. That's out there because we identified the one
You just want a case by case?
for expanding it. But say it's available to anyone. The department head knows best what they're seeing come in, and what, better than us, and better than a wide open, and offering it every time we hire? No, that's not what we want, I don't think. The sheriff.
Dale?
I agree with Jim on the criteria, and basically what you're saying as well there, Karen. It's, I've had a couple of my supervisors come to me and say, hey, can we go and ask for the hiring bonus? And I said, no, because we haven't established that we're having a difficulty in that area yet. And so what I've told my staff is we have to do at least do one full hiring process to make sure we don't have people out there that we can recruit. And if at that point we have difficulty and we can't find people to fill the open vacancies, then I would come back to you and ask for that hiring bonus. The jail, we went from May until I believe it was October when we approved it. And we went through at least one hiring process. We had 80-some applicants, but I was only able to hire one person because only one person was qualified out of those applicants. And so we went through a significant period of time trying before we asked for the hiring, for the hiring bonus. And so I would recommend to you guys that, in agreement with what Jim's saying, there has to be some criteria. And I think going through one hiring process is not too much to ask to make sure we don't have qualified applicants before we go out there and we throw that bonus on there. I think we need to prove that we can't hire before we have a bonus. That's my opinion.
Any other comments? Kim?
So the agenda item is to discuss an approval process. So maybe the direction or the path for the committee to take is to amend the current policy and add, like what the sheriff and what the county administrator is suggesting, add to that process or add to the policy language about department heads being allowed to address the committee if they have a position that they're having difficulty filling. That the criteria being how long has the position been open and unfilled, has the one recruiting process been taking place, has the job description been evaluated, because not only facilities, but you heard at another meeting, Human Services has a position open that has been open since September that they're having a hard time filling, and Human Services is considering the job description for that position and maybe reorganization in their challenges warranted. So I think some of those things need to be brought before the committee by the department head to say, these are all of the things that we've encountered and done. We've done our due diligence, and thus we'd like to ask for permission to have it advertised with a sign-on bonus. So have something in a policy, have a procedure in the policy to allow department heads to address and bring these things before the committee. But to also require that the department head indicate what they've done in terms of due diligence.
Dan?
Yes, thank you. I was just wondering, just from looking at this from back a ways, the board evidently passed a wage and compensation package for the county for all departments. Is what you're talking about here going to create a policy that will possibly go beyond what was passed at that time to include additional items that weren't even spoken of then? And I guess my question would be, does the committee even have the authority to do such a thing? Or does something like this have to come before the board for an amendment to the policy that was passed about wages and compensation? It seems like every meeting or every other meeting, there's always some new things coming forward as I look at agendas, and yet we had that decision made last October for this time period now. So are we treading on thin ice here? And we talk about competition in the public sector, private sector, where we compare with. Private sector monies are being pulled to expand the pay in public sector jobs, and then we're going to be pulling employees away from the private sector to fill them. It seems like we're sort of doing something we shouldn't be doing there too, being in the position we're in. We're taking the limited number of employees that are in the public and private sectors and trying to pull the private sector employees towards us with private sector monies, that is basically tax money, to pay the public sector employees more. I think we have to be careful about that too, but I'm just kind of curious particularly about the authority that, is there that for sure, to create policy that might expand upon and go beyond what was set in stone the previous budget cycle. Thank you.
Well, that bonuses has to come before the county board
Okay.
for approval. So it's not, we don't have the authority to do that. It comes before the county board for approval.
Okay.
And if you looked at your packet, you would see it was in your packet, actually.
The bonuses,
The
yes,
bonus were,
not the
I'm talking about
sign-on bonus.
today's bonuses, the talk we're doing today. That can't be in there yet.
no.
No, that's what I'm talking about today.
CNAs and the jailers are.
Right, that I understand.
So that'd be the same as this. It has to come
Okay.
before the county board.
Okay.
Kim?
Just to address a point, if I can. It is within the authority of this committee. It's this committee's obligation. We operate on a committee structure here. It's this committee's obligation to keep current the comp plan, which was adopted, and to set policy for employees. And fundamentally, if you want to talk about taking employees from the private sector, I guess I'd say it's up to the county board if it wants to have employees to run county government. And that's the essence of it. So where we get those employees, if we need to be competitive in the public sector as well as the private sector, I think the county board should do that. But that's ultimately the decision of the county board. But yes, it's within the authority of this committee to maintain your comp plan that was adopted by the county board. If that is if that's done by establishing sign-on bonus policies, that's up to you to do. If you're gonna change the comp plan, or if you're gonna have the premium pay bonus, that goes to the county board, of course.
The sign-on bonus is separate of the ARPA funding resolution. And the premise behind the sign-on bonus is that the money that is being used for these sign-on bonuses comes out of the department's budget. That's the budget that's already been approved by the county board. So there's two different things, and I think I don't want them to get mixed up. So, just so everybody is aware, that those are two different things.
Ed,
I just want to address an issue with the sign up. You know, in terms of Clearview, the compensation plan was developed in 2019. 2020, COVID hit that, and I'll you to hate to use it as an excuse. What happened in our world and across the world is unemployment is still low, but workforce participation has dropped significantly. We're at a historical in terms of people participating in the workforce. And the two biggest drops in workforce participation happened in two age groups. 35 to 44-year-old females was the largest drop, and 25 to 34-year-old females was the second largest drop. And in terms of the Clearview, I'm not speaking to anyone else. In the Clearview world, that's our primary workforce. So when you're looking at the sign-on bonus, it was a fix until we can address what we're looking at in terms of compensation and draw those people back into the workforce. Since that time, Leading Age, which is our association, has done a salary study of statewide and specific to our region. And when you're looking at our caregiving staff, there are a couple of positions where the compensation study was really good in 2019. It's fallen pretty significantly behind in just a matter of 2 years. And it's just a result of that drop in workforce participation. So we have kind of a twofold issue with us. We need to look at addressing our compensation for those hard to recruit positions, but that sign-on bonus is just trying to get those that are out there in the door now, and looking at long-term compensation, getting those to re-enter the workforce so they can come back so we can continue to serve the public. Because again, our goal is not to shrink away. Our goal is to serve the public. We have a lot of individuals out there that are in need. As you had alluded to in the hospitals have a lot of people that need placement. Department of Health Services is reaching out to nursing homes, seeing if there's how they can help, in terms of staffing, to be able to bring those, individuals into the nursing home to free up beds in the hospital. And it's just, it's purely a numbers game with the workforce. So that's just my 2 cents worth when you're looking at the bonus. My goal is to eliminate the bonus down the road and develop compensation hand in hand with our committee that that addresses that issue, that draws people back into the fold. So that's fine.
and I believe 2 or 3 meetings ago when we first discussed this, I asked the department heads that this sign-on bonus, or mentioned that this sign-on bonus wasn't a forever thing, that the department heads, the county board, all need to think out of the box about the hiring process, the pay system. This isn't just what I want to say. It's like a fluke that this has all happened in the last 18 months.
There's
And,
other issues that go hand in hand with it. I mean, when you're looking at that population, 25 to 44 female, what is the primary driver that's keeping them from entering the workforce? A lot of that is child care. There's a whole...
No, and the reason I asked to bring this up is because I don't feel that 1 or 2 departments should have this capability when we have difficulty in other departments. That's why this was put on the agenda. I wasn't meant to talk about the compensation plan, whatever. This was the sign-on bonus. If we're going to utilize it for one, we should utilize it for all the jobs that we can't get somebody for. And if that's a pull-in to hire somebody that's qualified, I don't see why we wouldn't use it. The rest with the compensation plan and stuff has nothing to do with this.
I'd like to make a motion if that's what it is at this point needed, for what Kim referred to as far as changing the policy, to include other departments after meeting a needs, proving their need and that they feel a sign-on bonus would serve a purpose.
To bring it back to this committee.
Yeah, to bring it to this committee and say, it is open to other departments on a proven as-need basis by the department head. Just saying that, yes, you can come back to us and we will entertain it specifically. I don't feel qualified to say what that criteria is specifically, but as the sheriff said, I think they should have gone through recruiting and then say, I think maybe I get someone if we offer this. Because it is, right now, spread out over 2 years. It does give them some longer-term incentive.
I guess I'd second it.
We have a motion and a second, I don't know if I can reiterate all of that.
I didn't.
I've got it.
Put it in something that conforms to the policy.
Yep.
What did you get, Sarah?
So to amend the policy to allow the department heads the ability to come to the committee to request sign-on bonuses. And then what I was going to add is maybe we have a form that we develop and the department has to complete the form and ask a specific series of questions. How long has the position been open? What has been, what has been done as far as the recruitment efforts? What has worked, what has failed? Why do you feel, those types of criteria, so everybody's answering the same type of criteria.
Thank you.
Still agree with that, Rich?
Yes.
Any other discussion on that?
I don't know if actually this is completely on the subject, but if they keep on doing sign-on bonuses, we have to look at pay structure. So there's one of two things that's gonna have to happen. We're gonna have to raise taxes because we can't afford to be keeping on doing this, or we're gonna have to cut services. And neither one is something that I am in favor of doing, although, but where we're at right now, I see no other way around it.
And I'll just add, when you say cut services, there are very, very few non-mandatory services that a county operates anymore. Something
Any
like
other
parks.
discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor of Karen's motion on setting criteria, whatever Sarah also said.
Yeah, whatever was reiterated.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Review, discuss, consider recruitment difficulty for facility maintenance in the facilities department. We covered that pretty well, or?
Yeah, so I believe I addressed this the last meeting during the last compensation plan. The current one, we were at approximately $23.85 with the Carlson Detman. With the McGrath study, the starting wage went down to $21.68. Having said that, I just want to make the point well known that none of my staff took a pay cut during the McGrath study. They were all put in the placement, so nobody took a pay cut to do the McGrath study. But going down on a starting wage as a facility technician too is not benefiting hiring. I've had the position open since end of September. I can tell you today, I did interview an individual this morning, and it was very positive. He actually he has both skills to done custodian and facility maintenance, and So we did take him through a walkthrough through the jail this morning. So we'll see how that pans out. I can also tell you though, I do high confidence that I will be having a retirement in February. And so I would like you to look at this positions to see if we can get it at least bumped up to the next pay grade to be in close proximity to what at least we were at Carlson Debt. So, just an FYI, I did look at in compare. I know this is private sector, but comparable facilities maintenance person at Kraft is starting out at $27.50 an hour. That's a far cry from $21.58. And my requirements for those facility technicians too is electrical, HVAC, plumbing. You do work in the jail, you know, so that's a whole different animal than working in a facility like this. So I guess that's what I'm requesting, that you take a hard look at doing something to get that starting wage up. And then it would hopefully go hand in hand with retention.
Are you asking for the signing bonus at this point?
I would
Consider it, maybe, or...
I would, at this point, I would wait until after I see how this goes. I don't know if I would offer this based on...
See what he says.
Yeah.
What response you get, please, but
Correct.
if you think it would be,
I guess if it's a deal breaker,
yes.
then I would entertain offering it, but at this point, I was looking at doing anything after the first of the year. So.
Russ, what I'm hearing from you is that you would like to have the starting wage be on labor grade higher. Is that-
The whole position reclassified to a pay grade higher.
That would be my request. I mean, unless this committee has a different idea, but it would be a lot closer to what at least we were with the Carlson Detman. I'm not saying that it's perfect, but it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Have you reviewed the job description?
I have. And along with that, though, and I hate to bring this up, but if you do that, my lead mechanic is then only one pay grade away. So there's no incentive to jump up to the next level based on that. So I think that would have to, those two positions would have to be looked at. From the mechanic, or from the lead to my assistant, there's plenty of room. So that's not an issue, but I think you definitely have to take a hard look at those two positions.
Anything else on that?
I'd like to look at this a little bit more, but seeing that Russ is interviewing a person right now, I don't know if we, I don't want to jump into anything, but I think we should look into this further as far as wage compensation for a starting wage for a maintenance technician too.
For like a future agenda item.
Yeah.
That's fine. All right, review, discuss, consider revisions to the shift differential policy related to the sheriff's office.
All right, so we have a shift differential policy. At a previous meeting a while back, probably a year ago, the physical facilities maintenance we approved their shift differentials. And then the sheriff's office we put on hold given the fact that we are we're working towards those 12-hour shift changes. So this is as a result of the changes to 12-hour shifts. So we've identified the different shifts. The first being a 12-hour swing shift, which would be a shift that starts at 10 a.m. To 10 p.m. We'll receive 50 cents per hour shift premium for hours worked. A 12-hour third shift is a shift that starts at 6 p.m. and works to 6 a.m. They will receive a 75-cent per hour shift premium for hours worked. We have a deputy secretary who works a second shift, 12:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Will receive a 50-cent shift premium for hours worked. And then a jail programs specialist, or a jail programs second shift is 1:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. They will receive the 50 cent for all hours worked. And one caveat to state here is that the shift premium is payable for actual hours worked. It's not for all hours paid. That's a change that we're moving to from the previous policy. So somebody who takes vacation, somebody who takes PTO, somebody who takes sick time will not be eligible for the shift differentials on those pay codes. It's only for when they're actually working those hours.
Sarah, the difference between two of the, well, you got 2 and 2, either a 12 or 8-hour shift on that. What is the reason we're thinking? Is it more like for just supervising, or what is it that the 12-hour shifts are there for the third shift and the second shift, but then you get a deputy secretary or a programs second shift, they're only 8?
So the deputy secretary schedule is an 8-hour shift. And the jail programs positions are an 8-hour shift.
So does that constitute a raise in there for the second shift employees?
So the second shift currently is,
Counting the deputy secretary.
yeah, the deputy secretary, their current shift differential is 25 cents. And then the jail programs for second shift is
20 cents, third shift is 25.
20 cents, and then third shift 35.
So is that shift changing for the deputy secretary, like second shift? It's the same shift?
No, what is happening is there is your committee changed the structure of the shift differential altogether. So now we are defining them a little bit better so that these are the hours that they get that shift differential. All shift differentials went up. It's just changing, so the second shift deputy secretary is going from 20 cents to the 50 cents, which you approved back when you changed the shift differentials. It's just defining those particular shifts and who actually gets each of the different shift differentials. That's all it is. I guess they're getting the raise as part of the shift differential going up, but it's just changing them from what they were on the old shift differential schedule to the new one. That's all it is.
Yeah, if you recall, this committee had requested that we standardize and to be consistent across the board with our shift differentials outside of Clearview. And so that is why we're, we waited for the jail because we knew that they were going to be going to the 12-hour shifts. Now that we're here, so now we need to.
The rates were already approved. We're better defining it now into the
Yes.
policy, because I
Yep.
take it this is red, this wasn't in here.
It was
It was in here?
it
but-
was in here. However, we're defining the new 12-hour shifts.
Okay.
Yep.
It's
And then-
mostly the hours that are being defined, not the shift premium.
Yeah, that was already,
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, and then we also have patrol lieutenants. They work a 9-hour shift, so 9-hour second shift, 2 a.m. to 11 PM. Is that right, 2 AM? 12-hour second shift for patrol
2
lieutenant?
PM to 11 PM.
2 PM.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
So I'm-
Sorry. 2 PM to 11 AM will receive 40 cents per hour for hours worked, and then the third shift, 10 PM to 7 AM, receives the 75 cents. The one thing that we did not discuss, though, with the lieutenants was the fact that the second shift was established for all other positions at 50 cents, and whether or not, to be consistent, do we want to change the patrol lieutenants from 40 cents to 50 cents?
I believe for being consistent, I think it should go to 50 cents. I make a motion to approve the policy with the addition of 10 cents to 50 cents for the second shift patrol lieutenant.
Second.
I'll second it, just to get it out of the way. I do agree that there should be more, definitions in there. I'm all fine with that. I'm fine with the deputy secretary, or sergeant, or whatever it is. But just a little leery, I guess, if you're gonna just, for consistency purposes, start paying people a little bit more, but I can get there.
The motion and the second to adopt this policy and with the change of patrol lieutenant to 50 cents per hour. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passed. Review, discuss, consider interim human resources director. Jim or Sarah, which one do you want to?
I'll take it. In front of you is a copy of a memo related to the interim appointment of Human Resource Director of Tanya Mindeman, effective.
That's actually the next item on the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead.
No, it
No,
isn't.
I'm sorry.
I'm right.
There's no light back. I apologize.
You do want to say.
Okay, back to the interim Human Resource Director appointment. It is to appoint Tanya Mindeman as the interim Human Resource Director and include a stipend, as we've done historically when there's been interim appointments, in recognition of the additional duties and responsibilities. In this case, the interim, or the stipend, would begin on January 13th, which is the first day of the pay period, and continue until the first day of the new director. And in looking at this and in discussions with Sarah and so forth, and looking at the current rate of pay and where the position is, the stipend is $15 per hour during this interim period.
And that would end that stipend on hiring of taking care of that,
Correct.
filling the position.
Yeah, best case scenario, if based on the process, would be to bring the confirmation of an appointment to the February County Board meeting. That's the best case scenario, and then anticipating maybe 4-week notice period at case scenario.
I see, Jim, that you did review this with Tanya and
Yes.
Sarah, and she is in agreement.
Yes, Tanya's ready, she's ready for the challenge. And I know she's up to it. She'll be fine. There's a lot of support internally with other departments as well. But
How
Yeah.
long is, how long, sorry, she was a big man. How long has Tanya been in assistant position?
Tanya started in 2016.
But she seemed like a lot longer experience.
She was the, she started at Clearview, back years and years and years and years ago. When she left Clearview, she was their finance director, but prior to that, she was their employee services director for many years. And then she went to Jefferson County and, worked under, the HR department there, and then came back to Dutch County in 2016.
Yes, thank you, Dennis. Just to inform you that within the next 6 to 10 days, because of the holidays, hard to say when, you will be receiving some information via email from third-party HR service, just for your consideration that maybe you want to take a look at a different direction for HR. That'll be coming to you, and I just hope you consider that too in this time of change.
Someone want to entertain a motion?
Make a motion to approve $15 an hour stipend for Tanya until such time as a new HR director is approved and takes office.
it'll be beginning January 13th, correct?
Yes.
I'll second that, because either way, we're gonna have to have we should have an interim in there,
Yes.
and then wherever it goes, goes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on it? My personal feeling is Tanya's well qualified. I've watched her throughout the last 8 years, I think, here. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Motion to hire Tanya Minman as the interim human resources director, effective Thursday, January 13th, and running until we hire a new one
That would be to appoint.
to appoint.
Perfect.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Review, discuss, consider personnel requisitions.
Okay, we have a number here. The first one being Chief Deputy Clerk of Courts. This is to replace Michelle Penning. She has given her retirement notice. She's a long-term employee with Dodge County, and we're sad to see her go.
You said retirement?
Retirement, yeah. We have child support attorney. Another long-term employee, Pat Litcher, is going to be retiring with us, replace him. And then we have a number of LTE extensions at Human Services. So I think if we could maybe just address these two first, and then we can go into the Human Services LTEs. Is that okay?
Yep. We have a motion on the first two.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and second to approve the chief deputy clerk and the child support attorney. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes.
Okay, so we've got an LTE. This position was approved from 6/1 of '21 to 12/31 of '21. It's a clinician 1, 2, or 3 children's with disabilities position. And Becky is looking to extend that from 1/1 of '22 to 2/28 of '22. She has indicated to me that they are in the process of interviewing, and that is the reason for the extension, because the person wouldn't start until after the first of the year.
There's somebody in that already?
There's somebody in that already?
Yeah, we have somebody who's already at the LTE, and then we're in the process of filling that position on a full-time basis for the creation of a permanent position through resolution in August. And so we just can't fill it by the 1st of January. So I'm looking to extend that LTE through the end of February at the latest.
And you won't have a resolution until August, you say?
No, it was already approved.
Okay.
Yep, it was approved last August for this year, for
Okay.
for 2022. And you've already approved that requisition so that we could start the interviewing process.
Trying to build 1, 2, and 3. They're all LTUs.
Yeah, and it's one position, but depending upon their qualifications that they bring, they will either be a 1, a 2, or a 3. It's not 3 positions.
Just keep going.
Yep, up to you. I can keep going. All right, next one. This is customer service support specialist in clinical services. This position was originally approved from 2/11 of '21 to 7/31 of '21. We extended it, you extended it, I should say, on 8/1/21 to 12/31 of '21. Since that time, this position title has changed to Program Assistant Clinical Services, and this is an LTE because the person who was in this original position was transferred over to the Contact Tracing Coordinator LTE position. So we've backfilled that position with this LTE. And this is an extension to extend it starting 1/1 of 2022 through 12/31 of 2022, correct? Or did you want to do 6 months?
6 months.
6 months. So 6/30 of 2022.
You want to go back to the public health educator?
Oh, we'll do that one last.
Okay.
Yep. I rearranged those, sorry.
Okay.
The next one then is the LTE contact tracers. These were originally approved on 7/1 of 2021 through 12/31 of 2021, and this is to extend these positions until 6/30/2022. Then we have the LTE contact tracing coordinator. That is the person who was originally in the program assistant clinical services is in the contact tracer coordinator position on a limited term basis. And this was originally approved 7/1 of 2021 through 12/31/2021. So this is a request to extend it from 1/1 of 2022 to 6/30 of 2022. The program assistant is the same one as the clinical services, correct? The LTE, yeah. So you can cross off clinical, or the program assistant, it's the same. There's a title change in there, that's why there's a confusion. The next one is a public health educator LTE position. And this is a request, it's a temporary, limited term, from 1/1 of 2022 to 6/30 of 2022, and I'll let Becky explain that one.
So we're requesting to create a position of public health educator based upon the fact that we have received funding from the state of Wisconsin in order to improve our efforts as it relates to public health education in the areas of COVID-19, other communicable diseases, public health issues overall in general. No county levy will go into this position because we do receive the funding through the state of Wisconsin. And we would like to increase our public health education for the community, for schools, for the population as successful as we are hoping it would be, my intention would be to ask for this position to be a permanent position starting in 2023. Again, based upon the fact that we have grant funding through the state of Wisconsin for the specific purpose of public health education.
Do we have any public health educators in this classification now?
No, this would
The
be a
county
brand,
has none?
no, this would be a brand new initiative for Dodge County, Karen. It was, how do I say this? Public health education was always a part of Dodge County. There was not a specific position, but it was the role of the public health officer, Abby Sauer, to kind of do a lot of that. And with her departure, we're looking at creating this position, and we're still in search of a public health officer to fill her role.
You
But
need
we-
an outreach.
We need
That's it.
outreach. We need
Yes.
continued outreach in her absence. And going forward, I feel like it is in Dodge County's best interests to create this type of a position as a sole dedicated focus and effort.
Yes.
Any other discussion on that? Otherwise, what's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve all the LPEs. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
Review, discuss, consider leave of absence reports.
We do not have any.
Then, review of salary, wage, and status changes.
Okay. We have a rehire in the sheriff's union. Easton Meyer, deputy sheriff, will be starting with us on 1/10. We have a promotion, Jay Thielman, sorry. He started with us as a deputy in training, and so he has completed the academy and has been promoted to a full deputy sheriff on 12/13. We have a new hire, economic support specialist, Renee Lyman. She'll be starting with us on 1/4 of 2022. And then we have Kyle Art, a corrections officer. Will be starting with us on 12/28. We have a couple promotions here. Chandler Zwig was an economic support assistant, and he has been promoted to an economic support specialist, effective 12/9. We have Kyle Hagan. He was a corrections officer, promoted to correctional sergeant on 1/13, as well as Ben Plante and Art Elsner. And then we have Carissa Markwart, starting with us on 1/4 as a 911 communications officer. And Carissa was community service officer, thank you. We've got some temporary, full-time, Hannah Carter, started with us on 12/16 as a contact tracer 1, and Rhea Kramer, contact tracer 1, started with us on 10/16. We have a rehire full-time, Yesenia Salazar, economic support specialist bilingual, will be starting with us on 1/4, and that is it.
Seeing Dale's here, not to get too personal, but on a rehire, Easton Meyer left for another agency and decided to come back.
He was a community service officer, and his parents went out to Montana. He followed them, determined that law enforcement out there isn't quite what they would expect him, and decided to come back home. So he was not a deputy, he was a community service officer. Now he will be a full-fledged deputy. Great.
I was hoping he had a story about somebody that went to some other agency and decided we were better.
Pretty much it.
He did the second time.
Well, that's it, he did.
He did, he's coming back, and let me tell you, of the interviews I've had, and he was one of my cadets, explorers for the longest time, he is like, he's as good as they get, except I can still shoot him.
All right, thank you. The human records, resource director.
I don't have any additional resignations or retirements to report. I'll let Wendy give her report for Clearview.
We only have two, so we had one on-call LPN and one full-time CNA.
Future agenda items.
I was saying, is there any, we said a full-time CNA
Yes.
exit interview?
She actually gave her notice and then was 3 no-call no-show, so no exit interview.
Okay.
Future agenda items.
I have the starting wage regarding maintenance technician two. And then I will have the amended policy regarding the sign-on bonuses.
We ought to be discussing our pay structure that we have as well, so that we maybe can address some more issues that we have and hopefully come up with a plan on how to hire and retain our employees that we do have. I brought it up in a resolution that's coming to the county board this evening about pay plans that have come to us, and I think that more responsibility should come to human resources and to work with other county municipalities and stuff to try and come up with a plan on how to retain and hire new employees throughout the area. So I think that something like that is something that we need to discuss. Excuse me.
Anything else?
Dennis? Is it this committee's responsibility for the start reviewing the salary for the new term of the sheriff and the clerk of court?
Yes.
That is,
I think it should be
For the elected
for the
officials.
elected positions, right, for the new term. It's my understanding that would need to go to the county board prior to March at the latest, I believe, at the March meeting at the latest.
It's just 2 elected at this point? Or is it all?
3.
2.
It's the sheriff and the clerk of court.
Clerk of courts.
Anything else? What agenda would you
Just want to put on your schedule because that
Yeah.
March date's going to come up very quickly for county board action.
Yes, and if someone can bring us some recommendations from administration.
If you'd like us to.
I would. And some comparisons, some comparables again.
From the other one.
Yes. Oh, for elected, yes.
Yeah, for the elected.
All right, next meeting, January 4th at 8:30, and January 18th at 2022 at 9.
I will not be available for the 4th.
We just for your awareness of the Jan's awareness that the executive committee is also meeting on the 4th. They're going to follow the human resource committee meeting.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's why we're starting at 8:30.
right. So we got back-to-back meetings on Tuesday.
Okay, make it Richie. Being no further business, we'll adjourn by order of the chair.